Hey Froggy friends, Kirostyle here. Welcome to Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake digital artbook and soundtrack from the Deluxe Edition. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is not being recorded on stream. We recently finished our playthrough of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake, and now it's time to go over the digital artbook. Now, like I said before, I love digital artbooks. That's like the way to get me to buy a digital deluxe upgrade. I wasn't going to buy the deluxe upgrade for this game because I didn't think I would really enjoy the game enough to want to warrant buying extra costumes and a couple extra in-game charms. But then I saw digital art book and I was like, I do want to see this, and I do want to, look at it and go over it with you guys and put it in video format. So we're going to do that here, so you can have a look at it if, in case you were wondering, and maybe if you want to get it or not. Now, we finished the game, and I gave my review of the game at the end of that, so I'm not going to talk too much about my review of the game here, and I'll try not to do too many spoilers, but I'm sure some of the artwork will spoil stuff as well. So, I mean, this is not the first time I've gotten a digital art book from Koei Tecmo. We also got the one from Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, so I can already see that this is very much a similar setup. So we have artwork, characters, ghosts, and other world glossary soundtrack. So I'll let the music just play in the background as we go. The music in this game actually was good. I like the sound design. I think that's one of the strengths of this game. Oh, and there's actually stuff to read here. That's cool. I like it when there's actually commentary. Wait, there's 92 pages. Isn't 92 pages of commentary? Oh my goodness. Okay, I was gonna read all this, but if every single piece, if all 92 pictures have commentary, I don't think I want to read all of them out loud. That's a lot to go over. Wait, does 92 include these? Okay, so 92 does include like the entire... Okay, maybe I will read them. Otherwise, I feel like it's too lazy for me just look at pictures and not say anything. I mean, I was gonna give my 2 cents on every picture anyways, but at least this gives me more to talk about, so we'll see. So this artwork, the main visual of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake, it mirrors the composition of the original game's main visual with Mio and Mayu sitting back to back, but introduces far richer detail. Mio and Mayu now sit before the threshold of the abyss, heightening the drama of the scene. I think this is a really great piece. It definitely reflects the original. It looks beautiful, love the colors, it brings out the crimson butterflies, the color scheme on the twins looks really good here. Oh, you can click on them and look at them a little closer. Oh, that's the next one. The main visual of the original Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, which also served as the box art. Mio and Mayu sit back to back, forming a butterfly-like silhouette. Their positions were reversed in the remake's main visual to better showcase Mayu's bandages. You definitely see it's like of the time. I'm glad they included the original artwork, because then we can look at it. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't just be remake artwork here, because I don't think there'd be enough to form a whole art book. Visuals made for Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake LED artboard. While the twins sit back to back like in the main visual, they're now standing in front of the ritual altar, as in the original main visuals, and their expressions now seem more intimate. Oh, now we're in the character section. Okay, the first section was really short. A model still of Mio from Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake. The remake cleaves close to the original design line, with the concept now being a woman of around the same age, dressed in a way that seems normal for today. Effort was made to find a compromise with the slightly whimsical apparel of the original. Oh, there's different descriptions for... Oh, I didn't realize these have different descriptions. Sorry, then I'll look at this one. The package art for Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake, a cropped and enlarged portion of the main visual. It draws the viewer to the emotion in Mio and Mayu's eyes and clasped hands. Okay, I like how each one has its own individual explanation. Promotional imagery for the original Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, Mio and Mayu's clasped hands are brought to the forefront, emphasizing their bond, an element the remake's main visuals share. Let's look at Mio here. I really like their outfits and how they're very similar but different. A model still of Mayu from Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake. Mayu's shoulder sleeves were lightened to make her outfit feel less old-fashioned. Her clothing texture and skin translucency were refined. and her face structure was adjusted to balance the original styles without becoming too realistic. I can't believe they have descriptions for every single one of these. Scrap design art from Mio of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake. The original gave Mio simple design points like the large chest ribbon, since the in-game camera was far away. In the remake, a large knot was added to the back of her outfit to be visible from the game's camera perspective. I do like that, having to consider what the back of a character looks like when you play a game where the camera exists behind them most of the time. Scrap design art from Mayu. As in the original, Mayu's easy to recognize by her silhouette with a standout chest ribbon and tense shoulders that give her a dispirited look. Other details like her outfit's closed neckline help convey her introverted nature. Scrap design of Mio's. The detailed design was reconsidered after feedback that it resembled the outdated original too closely for a remake's protagonist. The updated design should feel fresh and clearly new for anyone experiencing the remake for the first time. Scrap design of Mayu. Despite being nearly complete, the design was reconsidered for the same reason as Mio's. The redesign still conveys Mayu's personality while feeling fresh and new for those playing the remake for the first time. Design art for the pre-order bonus, Crimson Butterfly Mio Original. Although several versions of the outfit were created for the original Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly, this remake was produced under the concept of recreating the initial design art, which will be shown later. The model for the pre-order bonus. The chest ribbon, shaped like a crimson butterfly, soft white skirt, and large lace on her breast are all carried over faithfully from the original design. Design art for the pre-order bonus for Mayu. The concept here was also to recreate the initial design art. Details that were hidden or not visible in the illustrations were supplemented through interpretation. That is interesting, because from old game art, sometimes you don't always get like all the views of a character, like their back view or their side view or accessory details, so sometimes they have to make things up for filling in the details. The soft hem of the dress depicted in the illustration was also carried over as faithfully as possible. The amount the collar is opened nicely embodies the slightly open nuance of the artwork. The first design art of Mio and Mayu for the original Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly. Mio seems full of life, while Mayu clings to her leg. The artwork depicts their sisterly bond, but at this stage, Mayu's leg was not bandaged, since this detail was added later to make it clear her leg was injured. Oh, design art for these, really? Design art for the cat ears black and cat ears white pre-order bonuses. Though simple items, there were many variables to consider, such as ear shape, length of fur on the tips, and the color of the inside of the ears. The design took longer than expected due to the finicky cat lovers on the team. I talked about this too, but apparently these pre-order bonuses were only for the digital version of the game. So I pre-ordered a physical version, and I didn't get this. And this is not the same as the early bird bonus. There's a free DLC that is only free for the first couple weeks of the game's release. That's the early bird bonus, that's not the pre-order bonus. The model of Cat Ears White, which is assumed Mio will wear. The Fatal Frame series often includes light-hearted costumes and accessories meant to soften the horror, but since this remake aims to be more realistic, the only holdover from that tradition are these cat ears. The model of the Cat Ears Black, made with Mayu in mind, despite concerns that the item might feel out of place amidst the realistic atmosphere, it actually fit in much better than expected. Like, because it actually blends into her hair. Wow, they have so much like design art here. It's nice. Design art of the early purchase bonus Kimono Red. So this is the early purchase bonus, not the pre-order bonus. The concept is a wearable version of the game's menu screen design. Golden clouds drift through a red space while butterflies flutter from peonies, seemingly ascending toward the full moon on the Obi. That's cool. I like that idea of them ascending to the moon. That's cool. A model of Mio wearing the red kimono. The beguiling color of this costume is meant to shine in the gloomy environment of Minakami Village. Design art of the Kimono Black early purchase bonus. The concept was to wear the eternal night that enshrouds Minakami Village. Mist drifts across the dark sky as crimson butterflies flutter from the white spider lilies of Kuroha's shrine, seemingly ascending toward the crescent moon on the Obi. A model of Mayu wearing the black kimono. White spider lilies stand out on the chic black that melts into the atmosphere of Minakami Village. Ooh, see, like even these like little details. Design illustrations of the peony hair ornament red and peony hair ornament blue. early purchase bonuses. They were created from the concept of placing a crimson butterfly resting on a flower in a place visible by the in-game camera. The intention was for Mio to wear red and Mayu blue. These are pretty. Model of the peony hair ornament red. The ornament's position and size have been fine-tuned so it can be worn at the same time as the cat ear headband. Very important priorities. The ornament was modeled so it will pair seamlessly with a Japanese Gothic dress. Ooh, wait, these ones look cool. Design art of Mio's Japanese Gothic left wing, one of the digital Deluxe Edition bonuses. The concept is that when Mio and Mayu hold hands, their crimson sleeves will together resemble a crimson butterfly. In the end, the separate ideas of a Gothic dress and a Japanese-style costume were combined. This is interesting. I really like these elegant costumes. The model of Mio's Japanese Gothic. The detailed ornamentation was painstakingly recreated. The gold patterns on the costume gleam even in the dark, conjuring up images of the vein-like structure of a butterfly's wing. Design of Mayu's Japanese Gothic right wing, one of the digital Deluxe Edition bonuses. While the outside sleeves were designed to link together as the wings of a butterfly when Mio and Mayu hold hands, it's worth comparing the other details that depict each sister's inner nature. The model of Mayu's Japanese Gothic. It took longer to fine-tune the sisters' color contacts and hair than did the dresses, but the result were tones that feel right for the characters without being too ostentatious. Whoa, even the gloves. I love that. Design art of Mio's lace gloves white and Mayu's lace gloves black, two of the digital Deluxe Edition bonuses. The Japanese Gothic dress becomes whole when the sisters hold hands, and these accessories highlight this. The warmth felt through the gloves contrasts with the slight chill of the butterfly chains. Ooh. The model for lace gloves white. The gloves are designed to hug the skin and give off an air of elegance. Though they fully cover the hands, the material is thin enough you can still feel another's touch when holding hands. See, I love all these ideas they want to include and how they decided on the design philosophies for them. The model for lace gloves black. These gloves were designed to give a more sensual feeling with the emphasis on conveying the warmth of the hand. Wow, there's so many costumes in this game. We didn't really see very many of them on the first playthrough. Design art for Mio's summer cardigan white, which can be purchased for points in the game. This outfit makes an appearance in a scene during the ending of the original, but couldn't be actually worn in the game. Now in the remake, the cardigan finally gets its time to shine as a proper costume. The model for Mio's summer cardigan white, which can be purchased for points in the game. The textured material carries through strongly in the modeling. Designer for Mayu's summer sweater black. The sisters' costumes were designed to resemble normal attire you might see protagonists wearing in Japanese horror. The result is a realistic and simple outfit that fits the more true-to-life atmosphere of the remake. The model for Mayu's summer sweater black, which can be purchased for points of the game. The modeling contrasts the soft texture of the sweater with the chill of the silver butterfly accessory. The model for the summer cardigan floral blue, which can be purchased for points in the game. Though it is actually a recolor of the summer cardigan white, the pastel tones help express the game's early summer setting. Forget-me-nots symbolize true love in florography, a fitting choice for Mio in the remake. The model for Mayu's summer sweater, light pink, which can be purchased for points in the game. Whereas summer sweater black is the chic and highlights body warmth, the pale crimson color here is meant to be refreshing and conjure up the scent of flowers. Design art for glasses red and glasses black, which can be purchased for points of the game. Japanese-style glasses made of tortoiseshell. The idea was for Mio to wear the red kite and Mayu the black kite, but both colors will look good on either sister. The model for glasses red. In order to make the Japanese patterns inlaid there even just the tiniest bit more visible, the temples were thickened and the patterns were positioned so they come forward. See, that's cool too, because sometimes in the concept art, things need to be adjusted for the models to make them look a certain way in the game. The model for glasses black. Large lenses make the sisters seem older, so they were made just a touch smaller and shaped to fit their features. Oh, finally, we're looking at non-costume things. Design art for Itsuki Tachibana from the original, an ill-fated youth with white hair only spoken to through the window of the storehouse. As Itsuki is a fanciful character, like something from a book, his design was kept very simple, using motifs of mayflies and white moths. The model for Itsuki Tachibana in the remake. His face resembled Mio's in the original design. as if to suggest she could very well meet the same fate as him. For this model, his features have been matured to match his stated age, with hints of sadness and ephemerality. Design art for Seijiro Makabe from the original. Makabe came to Minakami Village with Camera Obscura in hand to witness forbidden places and rites. He has the rugged, driven look of a hands-on folklore scholar who specializes in fieldwork, while his unkempt clothes reflect how little he cares about material comforts. The model for Seijiro Makabe in the remake. In the design stage, Makabe's face was unwrinkled and his beard was well kept, but in order to emphasize his active nature, he was given craggy features and a scruffy beard. See, this is interesting too, because we barely see the models for these characters in the game. They're only in like flashbacks, and a lot of the flashbacks are only in black and white or sepia. Or we see their ghosts, which are like semi-transparent. Design art of Ryozo Munakata from the original, an innocent boy yearning for the village he has returned to after visiting it as a child. His grass-green clothing evokes feelings of youth and inexperience. An older Munakata also appears in the first Fatal Frame, so that resemblance was kept intact. See, I don't think I've ever seen the concept art for them either. I've been looking at the Fatal Frame wiki, and like none of these concept arts appear, so this might be the first time we've seen them, or the first time they've been easily accessible. The model for Ryozo Munakata in the remake. Munakata's model was the toughest to finalize. With few defining traits, he was at risk of feeling generic. Well, he did feel generic. He needed to look like someone drawn back to Minakami Village by nostalgia and ready to grow, but conveying his weakness, kindness, and sensitivity was hard. The thing is, he only appears as a ghost, and in the ghost form, he isn't always evidently green, so he was very easy to mistake for the Tachibana twins. Ooh, Ghost and Other. Design art for Miyako Sudo from the original, a modern-day victim of Minakami Village who visited before Mio and Mayu and became a spirit. As the first spirit the player encounters, she was given a very basic female ghost design with white clothing and long hair. This is really cool art. I like seeing how they draw the ghosts. The character design for Miyako Sudo. The goal was to give the classic vengeful female spirit from the original a more realistic texture, while also adding more elements that move with her actions, like long hair and tattered clothing. The model for Miyako Sudo in the remake. The model preserves the frayed clothing and brittle hair seen in the design art. The series pairs doll-like CG protagonists with more realistic spirits, and as the first ghost, Miyako set the tone with a grounded mix of textures and facial detail. I think that's a very interesting thing to note, because that is very true. Like the CG protagonists with a very anime aesthetic mixing with the realism of the ghosts' textures and stuff is a little jarring, but they made it work. Design art for the Succumbed Man in the original. His identity has been melted away by the darkness of the repentance. With no memories or self, he simply stands and lunges at anyone who passes. As the series' first generic enemy, his silhouette draws inspiration from eerie figures like zombies and scarecrows. The model for the Succumbed Man from the remake. Particular attention was given to the festering texture on his skin. The hardest part to get right was the vague blackness of his sunken eye sockets from the design art. The darkness around his eyes was enhanced, and he was given pitch black eyeballs. Design art for the Succumbed Woman in the original. The concept here is also that of someone whose self is melted away until they are no longer who they are. The first draft had no hair, but it was restored so her silhouette would still clearly read as female. The model for the Succumbed Woman for the remake. While fundamentally the same as that of the Succumbed Man, some tweaks were made so her chest looked extremely desiccated when viewed with the Camera Obscura. Design art for the Succumbed Elder from the original. The desire was for an enemy that would be hunched over in the dark, so this character was planned to be a slower enemy than the Succumbed Man. However, it was scrapped in the end since there wasn't much difference between the two when viewed with the Camera Obscura. Oh, so this one wasn't even included in the game. I think that would have been interesting, because him being hunched over and being slower could make for a slightly different way to fight him. Design art for the Entrapped in the original. A wraith who died while hiding inside a box, so her body's stiff and her movements awkward. Her long hair hangs low, but her face becomes visible when she charges. In the design phase, the intent was for her to have a pallid yet pretty face. Design art for the Seeker in the original. Among the villagers searching for the escaped twins, he serves as the one giving instructions. He was given a torch to make him stand out more in the darkness of the village. The model for the Seeker in the remake. The torch was given a pale blue flame in the model to avoid confusion with the red watchfires around the village. His clothing was also made more tattered at the hems than in the concept art, so it sway more noticeably. Thinking about how characters would also look different when moving is also very interesting in video game design. Design art for the Sickle Bearer in the original. As one of the villagers sent to capture the escaped twins, he was given a bladed weapon, thinking it would heighten the panic if one seemed eager for bloodshed. To fit the concept of simple villagers turning violent, a farming tool was chosen for the weapon. The model for the Sickle Bearer in the remake. Because this wraith rushes in quickly, his hair was lengthened so he would have more swaying elements in motion. Design art for the Pole Bearer in the original. Early on, this wraith was a solidly built man who tried to catch the player with his bare hands, but he was given a pole when it was decided that it would be better for the game to have an enemy that could attack a wide area from a distance. I think that also helps differentiate them too, because again, a lot of the ghosts look very similar when you're in a panic and moving around. The model for the Pole Bearer in the remake. There are spikes running along the edges of the pole, but these aren't meant for killing so much as capturing wrongdoers. Oh, the music changing here. Design art for the Sunken Woodman in the original. Wait, I should turn down the music, it's getting a little loud there. Design art for the Sunken Woodman in the original. The spirit designed with wet clothing and her hair clinging to the body leaves pools of water behind as she walks. To better differentiate her from other ghosts, her movement was changed during modeling to make her appear as though drifting underwater. I think the underwater effects during her fight were pretty cool. Yeah, she looks pretty generic in the original. Concept art of the Sunken Woman standing at the water's edge. The idea was the spirit would emerge from the water if the player approached the various water areas around the village. Character design for the Sunken Woman. In the original, she was a creepy spirit with hair clinging to her skin. For the remake, she was reimagined with a beautiful image of white clothing drifting in cold water. Her skin is pale from low body temperature, and her face has a sorrowful expression, as if she's trying to communicate something. I keep calling her the mermaid, even though I know she's not a mermaid. The model for the Sunken Woman in the remake. Because she has more swaying elements like her hair and skirt than in the original, she was designed as a wraith drifting softly underwater like an aquatic flower. She had really cool movements. Design art of the man killed by Kusabi in the original. The man's design hinges on the idea that Kusabi suffered many wounds before death, and then inflicted the same pain upon the villagers. It's assumed his missing arm was lost after trying to block an attack from the Kusabi. The model for the man killed by Kusabi in the remake. Although this wraith is covered in wounds, his facial lacerations became particularly visible in photos, so the location and size of these gashes were revised to create shots that would be striking at first glance. I wish they gave them more interesting names than the man killed by Kusabi. Design art of the woman killed by Kusabi in the original. She is missing both arms because they were severed while trying to fend off Kusabi's attacks. We arrived at this design thinking that having her sleeves swinging as she pursued the player in agony would distinguish her from the other spirits. The model of the woman killed by Kusabi in the remake. Because she was intended as a character whose impact comes from being revealed by a flash of lightning in her first appearance, her modeling focused on making the grotesque wounds look painfully vivid against an otherwise beautiful face. Design art of the old woman killed by Kusabi in the original. Though her expression of utter confusion at what happened to her really made an impression, this character was ultimately scrapped when we couldn't come up with a unique attack from which she became a wraith. Design art of Kusabi from the original. Kusabi was slashed repeatedly and forced to become a sacrifice, and was designed to be the scariest wraith, a vicious incarnation of pain and suffering that appears unbeatable. As a final boss, the ropes that bound him float in the air like a halo, making him look larger. Design illustrations of this version's Kusabi. As this wraith is unaffected by the Camera Obscura, its body proportions were distorted, such as lengthening the arms to give it an intimidating presence. During design, there were human faces in the fabric, but this was abandoned as they were barely visible once modeled. Ooh, I like the idea of it having like human faces on the fabric, that's kind of cool. The model for Kusabi from the remake. Emphasis was placed on the painful severity of the wounds covering its entire body and its screaming, skull-like face to be truly terrifying. While many of the spirits in the remake fit the subdued mood compared to Japanese horror, this one alone has an outright evil appearance. I'm also looking at the music, and I didn't realize every single wraith has its own music. although they all sound very similar when you're in the middle of a fight. Design art of Sai Kurosawa from the original. The true final boss fought in an extra chapter after Kusabi, the normal final boss. The rope marks on her neck and severed crimson cord at her waist hint at what fate befell Sai. Her white kimono is spattered with the village's blood in the shape of a butterfly wing. So she's only fightable in other endings of the game on your second playthrough. The model for Sai Kurosawa in the remake. With her key feature being a beautiful yet terrifying visage laughing amidst the flashes of lightning, repeated adjustments were made to get her facial features just right. Her face is so evil looking. I don't think this is a very good screenshot though. I know I see triple of her face and it looks kind of creepy, but it'd be nicer if we saw her face a bit better here. Design art of Masumi Makimura from the original. He was killed by the Kusabi while searching for a means of escaping Minakami village for Miyako Sudo. A vital, dependable man in life, Masumi became a merciless wraith covered in ruins and death. The model for Masumi Makimura in the remake. In the early design stages, his jacket was removed when he became a wraith, leaving him in just a shirt, but this was later undone. In a game with so many kimono-clad characters, his modern attire was a rarity, so his jacket texture received extra attention. Design art of the Veiled Priest from the original. The priests have cloths inscribed with Sanskrit, text draped over their faces to shield their eyes from rites and locations that must... It says no be seen, must not be seen. Their design is meant to express the game's worldview. The model for the Veiled Priest in the remake. The modeling emphasizes the red accents and care was taken to keep the veils from flipping up too much. During battle, you can catch glimpses of their Sanskrit-covered faces beneath, and there's also a scene where the head priest removes his veil for a clearer look. Design art of the Mourner from the original. The mourners guard the deep path and perform labor related to rituals, having been blinded so as not to see that which must not be seen. These wraiths wear blindfolds to show they rely on sound to find their targets. The model for the Mourner in the remake. The mourners perform physical labor related to rituals, so they were given muscular upper bodies. However, they are not muscular in the sense of a bodybuilder, but more like the physique of a Buddhist Deva king, giving them a sculptural divine strength. Variant art of the Mourner from the original. During the design stage, it was thought that having older mourners added a compelling visual flavor, but the difference wasn't as apparent once models, so the idea was scrapped. I like that they're showing us the scrapped enemies too. Design art of the Broken Neck Woman in the original. Despite her neck being twisted at an impossible angle, she doesn't know what's happened to her, hence her blank look and slight smile. The model for the Broken Neck Woman in the remake. The design has her neck broken sideways as before, but while it remained fixed in the position in the original, this time around her neck can also twist backward, making her more unsettling. Design art of Akane Kiryu and Azami Kiryu from the original. Their heads were made larger to balance the design so the girls appeared ambiguous, uncertain whether they're dolls or humans, as they stand and stare toward the viewer. Models for Akane Kiryu and Azami Kiryu in the remake. They were given realistic textures, with attention put into balancing heads and face size to create the eerie effect of not knowing if they're dolls or not. Azami appears as both a doll and a spirit, with her spirit version identifiable by the crimson butterflies. Design art of the Fallen from the original. A wraith with broken limbs that crawls along her back. A crimson kimono on the floor suddenly moves, with arms and legs emerging from within as she begins her writhing pursuit. The idea was a wriggling kimono, so the garment was made extra large. The model for the Fallen in the remake. Her skin was pure white in the design, but here the idea was to stress the texture of the skin gone pale with fright. Blue veins can be seen faintly in her face if you look closely. Another must-see detail is the care put into how her legs move when she crawls upside down. It'd be cool if we could have like a model viewer in the game and I could play animations for them. Design art of Yoshitatsu Kiryu from the original. The head of Kiryu House, the House of Dolls. An elderly man who endlessly makes dolls in the sealed room. He is small, narrow-minded, and constantly muttering something. The model for Yoshitatsu Kiryu in the remake. Much effort went into getting the right balance of facial features to show right away that this is a twisted man. The tools at his waist are also meant to make it clear he's a doll maker. Design art for Chitose Tachibana from the original. A girl who emerges slowly from a closet. Her hands and feet are visible, but not her face. In fact, her face wasn't even drawn in early designs. She holds a bell because the idea was for the player to find the closet where she hides by following its sound. The model for Chitose Tachibana in the remake. As a spirit that was so well liked, many players said they felt bad about fighting her, so extra effort was made into Chitose's details. Her image was inspired by a cat hiding in the dark, so her features and eyes were given a slightly feline aspect. The original concept for the tag player, the image depicts a girl who continues to play tag unaware she has passed away. Even in the design stage, her expression is mischievous, with eyes that seem to tease and provoke. The model for the tag player in the remake. The design stresses the innocence of a child playing a game. She runs about in battle as if she was playing tag, occasionally tossing balls playfully at Mio as if this is just a bit of fun. Design art of the Frolicker from the original. He is the youngest and quietest of the 3 children. At the design stage, he was made to be an unsettling little boy. Well, that is very unsettling. The model for the Frolicker in the remake. His features highlight his youth along with his bobbed hair. In battle, he attacks like he's playing hide and seek, crouching and vanishing before he strikes. I do like how they gave these kids different battle mechanics, even if it wasn't always super noticeable until you fought all of them at the same time. Design art of the Chaste from the original, the oldest and most lively of the 3 children. At the design stage, he was given shifty eyes that watch for when the player leaves themselves open. The model for the Chaste in the remake. He was given short hair and sharp eyes to emphasize his liveliness. In battle, he attacks like he's playing tag, taunting Mio and running away before he strikes. Design art of Ryokan Kurosawa in the original. As the head of the Kurosawa family, he presides over the rituals. In life, he was a commanding figure, but in death, he has been washed over by darkness and become a wraith resembling a mummified ascetic. He kind of looks like Daisojo from Shin Megami Tensei. The model for Ryokan Kurosawa in the remake. The lines of his face were deepened to accentuate the dignity he held in life, while details poured into the texture of his rotted skin after becoming a wraith. The position of his eyes gleaming in their sunken sockets was also adjusted to avoid any comedic effect. Avoiding comedic effect by accident. Design images for Kinuyo Kurosawa, a scrap character from the original. A member of the Kurosawa family who was unable to birth twins, she now wanders cradling her baby. She was meant to attack the player when the player approaches the baby laying on its own, but the idea was scrapped when no good location could be decided. Design art of the Camera Obscura in the remake. The camera is a character, so its design line remains unchanged from the original. We wanted the outside surroundings to remain slightly visible while looking through the viewfinder, so we designed a mechanism for a boxy finder to pop out of the top of the camera. That's cool. I think it's cute they consider this like a character. I guess it kind of is. The model of the Camera Obscura in the remake. Details were updated with thought given to how the camera's parts would have deteriorated over time with use. Other revisions include making the camera's metal parts shine dully in the ambient light when the player peers through its viewfinder. Model of the Camera Obscura from the original. The camera body is made of iron and brass, with the grips covered in leather. In the remake, various other details have been redone, like having sweat damage on the leather grips, and a mechanism that retracts the lens into the body. The model of the Spirit Stone radio in the remake. The design is almost identical to that of the original, however, little touches like ornamental details and grime from aging were added to enhance its charm as an antique. A still of herbal medicine in the remake. Effort was made to recreate the atmosphere and feel of the materials from the original. However, we were unable to read the name of the maker on the side of the container, so a new name was created for the remake. A close-up of the maker's name on the herbal medicine for the remake. The signature and seal were created with the name Kagomorido, envisioned as an old, long-established business from Toyama. A still of the lunar incense from the remake, an item that boosts the speed at which Mio's willpower recovers for a time. In the lore, it has the scent of a queen of the night flower. It originally existed in the original as well, but went unused when the element was removed. A still of the village map from the remake. In the game's lore, it was drawn by Itsuki. Original art of the village map from the remake. It shows all of Minakami Village except for the secret locations within. A still of the Kurosawa house map from the remake. In the game's lore, it was drawn by Yae. It's cool they're including all the maps. Original art of the Kurosawa house map from the remake. Because Yae was forbidden from entering her father Ryokan Kurosawa's workplace, the right side of the map is blank. That's a cool detail. A still of the Osaka house map from the remake. In the game's lore, it was drawn by Makabe. Original art of the Osaka house map from the remake, drawn by Seijiro Makabe after his investigation. It details the entire property of the Osaka house, including the garden. Original art of Ofuda talismans from the remake, found affixed to surfaces throughout Kuroha's shrine. As they could also be seen on the title screen, their look was completely redesigned. They are decorated with motifs of twins, butterflies, and family crests. A still of news clippings from the remake, an old-style newspaper article describing the disappearance of Masumi Makimura. The ad for Kiryu dolls is a little Easter egg. A still of the doll manual from the remake, the image of an explanation of an Edo period mechanical doll becomes visible when viewed at high resolutions. A still of the Taboo tome from the remake. While its cover in the original was simple, each ritual tome cover in the remake was designed to make it distinct from the others. This one bears a large X on the cover, indicating it contains forbidden knowledge. Design art of the Taboo tome from the remake. Even the back cover of the cover was designed, though it never appears visibly in-game. A still of the Martyr tome for the remake. Its motif is reminiscent of the rope used in the Shadow Ritual. Are they going to go through every single book in the game? Design art of the Martyr tome of the remake. One can see from the overall design it indicates something being hanged with a rope. It is cool though, I'm glad they're including it. A still of the Twin tome from the remake. From this still alone, it may not be obvious the design is based on camellia flowers. Design art of the Twin tome for the remake. The overall design shows two camellias from the front garden of the Kurosawa house. Camellias are used in the design because they drop whole blooms rather than shedding individual petals, which is meant to suggest decapitation. That's interesting. A still of the Crimson Wing tome from the remake. Butterflies flutter from a field in a crimson space. Design art of the Crimson Wing tome from the remake. The overall design depicts a pair of butterflies taking flight from a field. A still of the Disaster tome for the remake is designed to resemble a view of the dark miasma hanging over Minakami Village. Design art of the Disaster tome for the remake. The overall design depicts something more like an elegant landscape than a scene of outright calamity. A still of the Twin dolls. The dolls can be seen briefly in-game when photographed at the same time. They are based on characters from promotional material and the North American packaging for the original game. As they would have looked too human if unchanged, their proportions were adjusted to look more doll-like. Design art of the Red Stain doll for the remake. An item needed to activate a mechanism in the Tachibana house. Though part of a set of white twin maidens like the other twin dolls, these were made of wood to distinguish them from the others. One of the dolls has a red stain on it, reminiscent of Sai Kurosawa. Design art of the doll near the mechanism in the Tachibana house. The companion doll of the Red Stain doll. Though it has no red stain, its base wood peeks through from beneath the chipped, peeling paint, giving it an old, worn appearance. Design art of the twin Jizo statues from the original. Paired male and female wayside deities facing each other are often found among various travelers' guardians on peaks or at the entrances of Japanese villages, but this design depicts two women side by side connected by a cord. Models of the twin Jizo statues from the game. One of the twins is missing its head to hint at the ritual. As relics of the lost village, they were covered in moss texture to give them an aged feeling. Wait, now we're in the world section here. Design sketch of the road to Misoto Hill from the original. It leads from the game's starting forest to Minakami Village. To show that it leads into an ominous place, the path is lined with headless Jizo statues. The Torii, where Yae cries, was not there during the design stage. The plan was for it to appear suddenly. Model of the path to Misoto Hill in this game. The headless Jizo statues are replaced with twin statues to clearly mark the village's boundary. Wind turns the pinwheels after passing through trees. The view of Yae was switched to Mio's right in this version, so the curve of the road was reversed for continuity. Design sketch of the original Osaka house. The first house Mio and Mayu enter in Minakami Village. Located down a slope, it is a thatched roof Japanese home designed so the interior can be glimpsed from the outside, building a sense of fear before entering. This is because the original Fatal Frame was set in a house. Exterior model of the Osaka house in this game. The windows are larger than the original version to allow more to be seen, and the thatched roof was made tattered to express age. This version also features an extension of the house which can be seen by observing the building from the outside. Design illustrations of the original game's Osaka Tachibana path. In early development, the houses of Minakami Village were meant to be tightly packed, making them frightening to peer inside, so the path was made narrow. The gate on the outdoor path serves as an obstruction to block the background from view. The new Osaka Tachibana path model. The village's main road is made wide to create variation in the pacing of fear. The hallway's door was removed, and instead blind corners were added to reduce visibility. The earthen wall was also removed to allow players to access a broken section of the house from the veranda. Design of the original game's Tsuchihara house. The Tsuchihara family oversaw the storehouse and had the authority to imprison or judge those who committed crimes in it, according to the setting. In the original game, you could not enter the house, and it appeared as a rotted, ruined structure. This version's Tsuchihara house model. The interior has been expanded and can now be entered and explored. The lanterns and padlocks hanging in front of the neighboring storehouse bear the Tsuchihara family crest. Design illustrations of the original version's fork in the road. Minakami Village is on a path that starts from Misono Hill and loops around while branching off in various directions. This fork connects to the approach leading to Kuroha Shrine. This version's fork in the road model. A torii gate with Kuroha Shrine's name inscribed on it was added to the stairs leading to the shrine. Lanterns were also added to the entrance and approach to guide visitors. Design illustration of the original Kuroha Shrine. The design concept was that the entrance to the old shrine would come into view as you climb the stairs. This version's Kuroha Shrine model. By creating grounds that were not in the original design, the shrine's entirety comes into view at once. Additionally, players can explore the surrounding area before entering the main hall. This version's Kuroha Shrine model. White spider lilies bloom behind the shrine, and this is also a place for children to play. These flowers also bloom behind the storehouse where Itsuki is. Design illustration of the original Tomonaki Gate. This gate leads to Tomonaki Pond as well as the Kurosawa house. It was designed with the roof and door destroyed to give the impression of a disaster that struck the area. This version's Tomonaki Gate model. A heavy door that must be opened was added to add a psychological element when advancing deeper into Minakami Village. The gate opens to a view of willows swaying by the water's edge, creating an eerie atmosphere. I like how they talk a little bit about the differences between the two games. Design sketch of the cliff from the original game. The girls originally climb a cliff on their way back to Misono Hill. Mio helps Mayu up the rope ladder before realizing it was the rope Sai used to hang herself. They were meant to awaken at Misono Hill after beating Sai's gaze, but the sequence was ultimately cut. That sounds like an interesting sequence. Model of the newly added Kayano area. Since Minakami Village has thatched roof houses, it made sense to add an area where the reeds grew. The tall grass creates a frightening atmosphere, as if someone might be lurking within, making this a distinctive location. The first time I went through here, this area was kind of creepy, and I like that they added it. I didn't know it wasn't in the original. The Kaya Hut model from the newly added Kayano area, designed as a secret fort made by children, it holds a variety of items the girls brought there. Model of the newly added Minakami settlement area. Beyond the storehouse where Itsuki is located was intended to be a settlement of tightly packed small houses. It was finally added to this version. Model of the newly added Minakami settlement alleyway area. The village is made of small houses packed together, so tightly it makes you wonder if someone might be watching from a window as you go past. Model of the newly added Minakami settlement Okunohara area. After passing through the settlement, there's an open area with a large pine tree known as Amanoki. It serves as a landmark that can be seen even from a distance. The model of the newly added Tomonaki River shore area. Along the river flowing from the Tomonaki pond are piles of small stones like those seen along the Sai no Kawara. These stone piles are said to have been made by children as part of their play. Exterior model of the newly added Eikaido temple area. So that's why a lot of these areas I felt like we didn't explore very much because they were new in this game. So that's why they didn't have entire chapters devoted to them. The exterior can be seen from the bridge on Tomonaki Pond. The place serves as the same role as the altar room in the Kurosawa house. The priest performs their devotions here before proceeding to Kuroha Shrine. The model of the hall inside the newly added Eikaido temple. The twin Buddha statues are made to resemble those in the Kurosawa house's altar room. Because they appear far apart due to their size, they are visually tied together using red cords. The candles are offerings to those who died in the disaster. This is a model of the newly added abandoned graveyard area. There's a bamboo grove behind Minakami Cemetery, which is scattered with small graves for those without names, such as the mourner. This is a model of the newly added Imiya area. This is where the mourner lived, who was intended to be the gravekeeper. This is a model of the newly added Umbral Mound area. Makabe photographed this place with the camera obscura in the original game, but it was not possible to actually visit. In this version, it had been placed beyond the abandoned graveyard so players can visit and photograph it themselves. This is a model of the newly added Ukishima area. In the original, it could only be seen from afar, but now there's a bridge to access it. Several toy bamboo leaf boats can be seen, as it was a place where children played. This is the Deep Path, which expands to the underground lake in this version. Originally only a small pool formed when water leaking from Tomonaki Pond, it was expanded into a full underground lake. It now forms a beautiful yet haunting landscape that makes the players want to view it through the Camera Obscura. This doll-like object is found in the raised tatami room on the Kiryu house's second floor. Cloth was placed over parts of the doll to make it resemble a human figure. This worked because the graphics in the original were rough, but it's clearly a doll in the game's detailed remake, creating a different kind of fear. Oh, this was the thing that fell apart when I approached it. I like how they have entries for these like one-time objects here and there. This is a model of the failed Kusabi from this version. Those who were unable to endure the Kusabi ritual were lined up in the Deep Path as human sacrifices. In the original, this could only be seen in gaps through the rocks, but in this version, there's a route that goes around to offer another view. Oh, I didn't see this on my playthrough, or at least I didn't look for it. I'm assuming this is like in like the final areas of the game, or the Kurosawa house. Model of the armor and helmet from this version. In the original, it was essentially just a tall, decorative object in the corner of the room, but in this version, it looks so real it can move any moment. It also has red stains added, suggesting either blood or rust. The Hina doll model from this game. Typically, a Hina platform has a male and female doll in the top tier. The Kurosawa house's platform features 2 female dolls. It was essential to differentiate the dolls in this version, so one has a red collar and is holding a fan decorated with butterflies. Design art of the butterfly doors from the remake. As the door consists of 2 panels, it was based on 2 wings of a crimson butterfly. The butterfly is carved in relief for greater impact. Model of the butterfly doors from this game. The door was unadorned in the original, but in this game the design of each single wing is emphasized, so even when separated, it's clear they form a matching pair. Design art of the butterfly door in the remake. There's a mechanism that opens a side door, bearing the same design when the player steps on this floor. Model of the butterfly floor in this game. Since the floor is hard to see with the in-game camera in this version, the design was made very noticeable so players could tell it is a special floor. Sample stage art for the game's proposal, based on the Osaka house's open hearth room, it was made to convey this game's intended direction. The strong contrast between light and dark allows you to see the layout of the room in a limited light, while only the flashlight reveals what is hiding in the darkness. Model of the open hearth room in the Osaka house for this game. The lighting differs from the proposal, but it's a richer effect from the light reflecting off the floor and moonlight coming through the lattice window. Objects that move when touched were added, such as dangling ropes and bowls scattered on the floor. I like how you can even see the shiny object in the background. The Kurosawa house courtyard staircase, created for this game's thunderstorm visual test. While inside the Kurosawa house, the flashlight stops working, so the player must move through it by relying on flashes of lightning. When stepping into the courtyard, the rain is illuminated white by the lightning. The Minakami settlement was created as a visual test for outdoor exploration. Unlike the object-filled interiors, the outdoors are spacious but mostly empty, making it hard to understand the area's layout in low light. Instead of increasing overall brightness, the flashlight was adjusted for outdoor exploration. A view of the Crimson Moon, part of the new element of the remake, where the environment changes with the story progress. Minakami Village grows dark after finding the Deep Path, and the moon turns red near the final chapter, sparked by an encounter at work when a man asked why the moon wasn't red like the butterflies. Design art of the save points in the remake. The save points are revolving lanterns with moving butterfly shadows. During the design stage, there was fear the crimson tassels at the corners might make them too cute. but in the end it helped them stand out from the other lanterns in the game. Model of the save point in this game, the suspended butterfly moves around and casts a shadow on the surface. When observed in-game, one can see the fan above spinning from the heat of the light. Model of the mother of pearl accessory case in this game. Created by villagers, it shows a scene from Minakami Village with red butterflies over wheatgrass. Many of the small items in the game were intricately designed, but they are hard to see because of the dust and the dark, thus the desire to showcase them. Design sketch of the mother of pearl accessory case in this game. Although it's hard to tell in-game, it can be seen here the design continues onto the sides of the box. One of the hanging scroll design sketches for this game, a crimson butterfly flies upward as if dancing in a spring-like scene of plum blossoms. It's used in places like the twins' room, in the Kiryu house, and the Tachibana house entrance. It has subdued colors so as to blend naturally into the rooms. One of the folding screen designs for this game. The original game featured folding screens with peonies and crimson butterflies, and this design was created by refining that version. Peonies and butterflies are used not only in the original title screen, but also in the game's main menu and on Mio's kimono. One of the folding screen models in this game. The image is one of the Tachibana house's tatami wing. The same one also appears in the Kurosawa house's flickering room. Be sure to look out for various designs that can be found on folding screens and sliding doors throughout the game. Ooh, art of the inside of the abyss from the original. The designer completed this piece in a single night after discussing how to depict the depths of the forbidden hellhole. Attempts to render this art into CG always lost the horrific feel of the original. A modified version of this art was used for the remake. I like this is creepy. This is an augmented version of the original key art used for close-up shots inside the void. This is a frame from the sequence where all the spirits face Mio. The central spirit with whom Mio locks eyes is their father, Misao Amakura, who disappeared while searching for Mio and Mayu. Oh, this is a glossary. Story synopsis. Okay. I'm not gonna read all these out loud, but I'm gonna hide myself so you can read them on your own. So there's like a summary of the stories and terms within the game. Again, I feel like a lot of the stuff in this game was told through like very brief journals and flashbacks. You can piece it together, but it is a little bit like piecemeal here and there. Here's Minakami Village. The Abyss. The Gate to Hell. Number 1. The Gate to Hell number 2. The Repentance number 1. The Repentance number 2. The Crimson Sacrifice Ritual and Crimson Butterfly. The Remaining and the Old Tree. The Shadow Ritual. Kusabi. The Umbral Mound. The Camera Obscura. The Camera Obscura 2. The Spirit Stone Radio number 1. The Spirit Stone Radio number 2. Yai and Sai, Mio and Mayu. 1. Yai and Sai, Mio and Mayu number 2. Itsuki Tachibana number 1. Itsuki Tachibana number 2. And Sprouting Wings. Oh, this is a new feature in this remake. And that's the end. I'm not gonna go through all the music, but at least I'll scroll through the titles in case you want to look them up. Again, I didn't realize every single ghost had their own music theme. That's kind of cool, even if they are just ambient sounds. See, reading through all the art entries here really gives me more appreciation for like the little things they did in this game. Again, graphics-wise, this game is great. Atmosphere-wise, the game's great. Most of my complaints about this game were gameplay-wise, which is a bit unfortunate. But this is a really good digital art book. I love it when they not only have multiple different pieces of art, but they also have descriptions to go along with each one, along with the idea behind its creation. Oh, you have like voice lines here too, I think. That's interesting. I think this was worth it for a digital deluxe upgrade for someone who's interested in art books and stuff like that too. Because again, a lot of people might think like, oh, art book, why would I want a digital art book if it's not physical? And I think having like the option to do like music, having like glossary, having the artwork divided into sections, having the ability to zoom in on the artwork, having the descriptions to go along with it, having artwork from the original game and the remake really adds an extra level of detail that I think would be worth it for people that are interested in this stuff, like me. So, there you have it. Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly Remake, digital art book, and soundtrack. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you're interested in the game or interested in the art of the game, maybe consider picking up the game and the deluxe upgrade, if you will. As for me, this is the end of Fatal Frame 2 Crimson Butterfly for me. I don't intend to play more of this game with the other endings, but maybe if you're interested, you could play it yourself or watch someone else do so. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye, Froggy friends!